Howdy there, my Chim Chims. Welcome back to One Great Manga War. Hopefully, you are having a fantastic day today. And today, this is my part 2 of my One Piece discussion videos. And today, we're going over Baroque Works. So without further ado, guys, let's jump into it. Let's jump into it. Man, oh man. One Piece just keeps getting better. Okay, last one I forgot to mention Loketown? I forgot to mention Loketown and the whale, which comes very important later. So basically what happens is that the characters go into Loketown. Is it Loketown? I apologize if it's not Loketown, but I'm gonna refer to it as Loketown. Loketown, and basically it's where Gold D. Roger was chopped and died right there, and told everybody about the One Piece. And Luffy got up on that stand and almost got his head chopped off, pretty much. But thankfully, due to lightning, he was able to get away from that. And the Marines were there, and it was really crazy, and just stuff was happening. We're learning a lot of new stuff about the series, and it was just so good, so freaking good. I loved that. Then we get to they get back on the boat and have to go up this mountain. There is a mountain they have to climb up with their boat and go down it to enter the Grand Line. And through it, they meet a whale who's got like people inside of them and people who live in them and have like an island put in them. It is really weird but super interesting. And with that, we get to meet some of the villains that we'll eventually be seeing in the rest of the series. But before we get into that, we get to meet the whale and this old man who gives our crew a radar thingy that allows them to check and see where the next island is. And we eventually get the backstory of the whale and how he was best friends with this one ship, which we'll get to know later on in the series. And he just lost them one day. They're like, oh, we'll come back for you. We'll come back and we'll be friends and stuff. And they never came back because all of them except for one died. And every day since then, he's been beating his head up against the wall trying to get through it. And it's so heartbreaking because you see all of his scars, all the pain he's going through. And Luffy just snaps him out of it, and it's just such an amazing thing to watch, because he's like, oh, you want to go? And go bam, 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 and he's like, when I come back, we're gonna have a rematch. And then the whale's all like excited, like, yeah, let's go, yeah. And he's finally got another friend besides the old guy that's protecting him, and it gives him something to look forward to. So eventually after that, they go off into the next island, which is a corrupt village where everybody except Zoro gets drunk and fat and enjoys their time there pretty much. But obviously, like I said, it was a trap, so they had to hightail it out of there. And if it was not for Zoro, they would not be able to get out of there. But due to this, we get to meet some more of the Baroque Works. The Baroque Works is a group of individuals who are numbered just like the Espada and Bleach, with the highest ranking being the weakest and the lowest ranked being the smallest. Man, these characters have so many really freaking cool powers, with one of my favorites being this guy who's got these like booger bombs, which is so freaking cool. You cannot tell me otherwise. But man, then there's another girl who eventually joins the crew for a little bit, who is the princess of Alabasta. And she needs her land liberated from the main villain of the Baroque Works, Mr. Zero, right? Mr. Zero, who we eventually learn later on to be Sir Crocodile, or as I like to say, Mr. Sandman, lend me your sand. I forgot those lyrics. We eventually get to we now have a new crewmate. Vivi becomes the newest crewmate of the group, and she's a freaking great character. Loved her for the time that she was on the crew, for the short 11 volumes she was in. But after that, we go into they find this new island known as Little Garden, where two giants live with a bunch of dinosaurs, and they're fighting all the time, and they're getting draws every time. On that island, we have a group. We have another little bit of characters. We have the Booger Man again, Mr. 3, this girl who can like use paint, like to paint people. Really cool ability. But they're the main antagonist of this area. And in my opinion, Little Garden, I'm not a big fan of Little Garden. It is a very fine arc. It's nothing amazing though, compared to Arlong Park. This is a very good arc, but it's a lot slower. And eventually, the bad guys mess with the giants, and one of the giants loses the fight, and the other giant realizes something's wrong. It's like, who did this? Who did this? And the Straw Hats are really mad, and they go beat the crap out of Mr. 3, the Booger Man, and the Paint Girl. And Sanji, of all people, finds out some secret information that he was obviously not supposed to know about. And because of that, they know their next places to go. But before we go there, due to Little Garden's areas of unknown, Nami gets sick very badly, and they have to stop on an ice area, another island of snow, where we eventually get to meet Chopper. But she is sick, horribly sick, and she needs a doctor quickly. So the group go onto the snowy island and have to find the doctor there. And the doctor is this old lady, and she eventually helps them. But only if their town is liberated from this big fat guy named Wapple. And the only reason I know his name is because he's a awful villain. He has no real... In my opinion, he doesn't have a lot of strength. He doesn't have a lot of intimidation. He's a goofy villain, and for that, he's really great at that. But as a main villain of this arc, he doesn't do it for me. I mean, heck, once we get there, he jumps on the ship and immediately gets thrown off. Like, dude, he's kind of a weakling. But we get to meet Chopper, and we get to see his backstory of his best friend being the doctor, who teaches him a lot of stuff. And tragically, he thought skulls were good, and eventually slowly kills the doctor, and it's really sad, really freaking sad. But yeah, the Snow Island isn't that good in my opinion, because it feels kind of like a filler arc. It feels like Eiichiro Oda was like, alright, I want to add a doctor to the team, but I'm not sure how to add him, so let's give Nami a sickness, and Nami comes down with the sickness, and we're gonna go meet a doctor, and that's what it kind of feels like. Nothing bad though; it's still a good arc. It's just not as good as Arlong Park. I know I keep doing it to Arlong Park, but that's the arc that came right after this, and it's not even as good as Little Garden. But I did enjoy it still though. And then we get to Alabasta. And Alabasta is freaking amazing. It shows how Eiichiro Oda is able to go something that man, this is taking a really long time and really slow. And he's like, that's what you think. But actually, I've been slowly moving puzzle pieces together, clicking the puzzles together to make this really expansive stuff. And it just takes you by the throat, and it's like, vroom! And you're like, holy crap! It just went from 0 to 100. And this arc is the first time that Luffy actually freaking loses. He loses to Mr. Sandman. And just gets demolished. So he has to go back and think about it. And what defeats sand? And he's like, what? Bam, bam, bam. It beats him up, and he wins eventually. But that is a short synopsis of Alabasta, because Alabasta has so much stuff. The political areas of the arc, with the characters, the cities using this type of seed sand this thingy that makes like water rain, but if they use it, the rain won't come back for like longer than it was meant to be. And so freaking good. I don't want to get too much into it because obviously spoilers. But if you do know this part, you know how good it is. Like, I think you do. But like, holy crap, it is so freaking good. So freaking good. And eventually ends with us getting Nico Robin on the team and Vivi leaving the Straw Hat Pirates in a very sad moment, which has one of my favorite panels of all manga of all time, where she cannot tell them that she can't give them a full goodbye, because if she did, she would be arrested for treason and being suspicion of piracy. So she can't say anything back. So she takes her hand from the previous fight, and there's a big X on her arm from previous fight, so they know who was who, because there's a guy who could copy abilities. And she takes her hand, pulls it up, throws it up, and wham! It's one of the most powerful moments of the whole series. Just saying a lot. I love it so much. I actually have a poster right up there. I'm going to show you real quick. I even have a poster of it, and man, it's one of the most powerful things about it, and the whole themes of friendship that this arc has given me is such an amazing feeling. Another character, like I said, she has to put her X right here on her arm, so they know that there's not a bad guy, like that they're not a bad guy, because one of them can copy abilities. And this guy is a goofball. The guy who has that ability, Mr. 2, I believe. Mr. 2, I believe, has the ability to copy how someone looks. And due to that, it becomes very hard to tell when they're fighting, and has led to some moments in the series. But before we even know that he's like a villain, we get to see him first jump on the boat and become great friends with the Straw Hat Pirates. And they're all like, "Yo, man, what's up? You doing great?" You're like, "Yo, you're making so much funny jokes, and you're a really great man, and we love you, man, and it's a shame we have to see you go." And then once he leaves, he's like, "Those were the Straw Hat Pirates?" He's like, crap. Crap. I wasn't supposed to do that. And then once they disband, he eventually helps them out by leaving the place, by making himself a sacrifice. And it's so sad. I cry crocodile tears anytime I see it. But man, seeing his like little redemption arc go from like, I'm a bad guy, sort of a bad guy. He's not really a bad guy. But going and seeing how friends are, and how they are great to people, and what they can do for you, and going back and sacrificing himself for the greater good of those Straw Hat people that gave him so much at a short period of time. And man, such a fantastic arc. And we get to see him more up in the Prison Break arc, which I'm getting into eventually. Man, this arc's so good. What do you think of this arc? Is it one of your favorites? Is the Baroque Works Saga one of your favorite arcs? What do you think of Alabasta? What do you think of the rest of it, man? I absolutely love this part of the series, especially the final fourth of it. It's absolutely fantastic. It starts out really slow, but once we get into Alabasta, it gets so much better, and it's great. So yeah, that is my little discussion of Baroque Works. The Baroque Works Saga, Alabasta Saga, however you would like to call it. So, like I said, this is a discussion, and I've asked questions before in this video. What are your opinions of this arc? This one's a fairly big arc and is fairly well known, so I would love to hear your opinions of this arc. So yeah, thank you all for watching my beautiful, beautiful Chim Champs. Have a fantastic day, and go out there and read some manga, my friends.